Dr. Akinci said, there's the question I want to ask, with the age of technology, with the age we're in now where people can do the unimaginable, or if they can imagine it, they can do it.
Yes.
Is it possible to actually, to replace this gene?
Yeah, that's why you're reading. You're doing a lot of reading. That's the future of medicine. I think medicine is going in the direction of genetic engineering. So I spoke to you just now earlier on about prenatal diagnosis, and that is an early pregnancy. Pregnancy is already there, but it's early. And what the doctor does is obtain a little sample of the developing placenta, around 11 weeks thereabouts, a developing placenta, and then they test it, and they can tell that this child is SS, or this child is AS, or this child is AA, as the case may be, you know. So that is early, what you can do in early pregnancy. But there's also what is being done, even here in Nigeria, in some clinics. You know what they do? They can do in a laboratory now, look at the sperm cells and look at the ova, the eggs.
Okay.
And now do some genetic engineering
in a laboratory.
In the laboratory, and then when they see that they remove the S's.
Today.
Yes.
In the country.
They can be done here, and then they now do an in vitro fertilization. So the mother is now they grow an embryo in the laboratory and transfer it to the mother.
That way, the child will not be
SS. So that's another intervention, but it's highfalutin.
Okay, and we also hear about bone marrow transplant,
which is something we're going to have in our center before the end of this year, by the grace of God. Bone marrow transplantation is the cure we have today for sickle cell.
And it's going to cost what? Not just an arm, not arm and leg.
Not an arm and leg.
Just an arm.
Much cheaper than it would be if you went abroad.
Okay.
We've had about 50 kids benefit from this service in Rome, free.
Okay.
But of course they paid for room and board and travel. But the center supported them in traveling. Okay. Now transfer of technology is bringing that technology here, and we can do it on our own. Our doctors have been trained, so have our nurses.
Okay.
And Lagos, Lagos State is part of it. They donated a huge sum of money for us to be able to set up that unit. I want to say kudos to Lagos State government.
We've since been joined by Toyin Adeshola, who is a person living with sickle cell. Good morning, Toyin.
Good morning. Thank you for
having me. You look cheerful enough.
Yeah, I'm just coming from my walk.
You've been
I'm out of breath.
Red umbrella walking.
Yes.
What's the red umbrella walk about?
Well, the red umbrella walk is to commemorate World Sickle Cell Day, and a group of us, coalition of NGOs, came together to show our voice for sickle cell and to render support for people with sickle cell. So we're trying to make our voice heard more, especially in a country like Nigeria, where we are not heard. We're put under the burden of so many issues, you know, but we have the highest number in the world.
Nigeria has many issues. Forgive Nigeria.
But for us to talk about
forgive us.
We can't wait. Actually, the ones coming ahead of us, I have been living with it for over 50 years, so I understand the challenges facing sickle cell. So when you see those, especially
younger
from
ones,
the low-income bracket, who can't afford, because let's face it, it's a capital-intensive thing. So it's really challenging. So we want our voice to be heard more.
You're very lively. I mean, I can draw light.
Very,
and all of that.
yes.
How did you manage this? I mean, to get to this point where, hey, this is where I am. Let's look at it.
And I can live with it.
And I can live with it.
Come on, guys.
Took a lot. It took a real lot. It's a change in mindset. It starts with the mind. Apart from my strong faith in God, family support is very, very important, because we see a lot of issues where families don't really give support, the proper support to their children living with sickle cell. So I had that support, and then I had to train my mind, because let's face it, I went through so many issues living with sickle cell. All the complications you can think of, I had it. And I got to a stage I was depressed, I was almost suicidal. But a turning point came to my life. I had faith in God, and I did a U-turn that, no, this is not what I want for my life. My life is more than this. So it takes a lot of, we call it willpower, a lot of strong mindset, and then encouragement, not sympathy. Encouragement from those around you to push you to achieve the best that you can be.
You see? Are you counseling any other persons living with sickle cell?
Many.
I mean, I have seen people who live with sickle cell go through a crisis.
Yes.
And it is not a pleasant sight.
It isn't.
It is not. So how do you tell that kind of person, look, you only have this one life. Even if it's going to be short, you need to make something out of it.
Yes.
In what language do you tell that to somebody who has gone through a crisis?
I use my experience, because I wrote a book about chronicling my life. The first thing I do is, if I find a person is, because there are different stages of depression people go through. So if I find it's very, very bad, that talking does not, I give them the book. Let them read. Because some of them have not even gone through half of what I've gone through. But, you know, when they read the book, they realize that it's not so bad. If she going through all this can make it, then I can make it. So we try and encourage them, and then we have a support group. Especially for young adults are the ones that are at the brunt of it. Because at that age, parents think, you're old enough, go and sort out yourself. But they forget that they will still battle with their drugs, they will still battle with their health issues, and then with the stigma of jobs, that's another. So it's really a challenge. So we try and
even
encourage
at work,
them.
you're stigmatized.
Oh,
Of course.
yes. Workplace,
entry level,
relationships,
everything
are stigmatized. People think that we cannot do anything, we cannot have children, we cannot. But we are like any other
that's
person.
not true.
That's not true.
A cousin of mine,
That's not true.
She's passed now, but she left 2 children behind.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a mindset, because information is not out there. And you know, when you get like a second-hand information, everybody passes. It's not the same. So you don't get it from the real source to tell you what exactly it's all about and what we can do.
Okay.
That's why we're shouting about World Sickle Cell Day. It was just promulgated in 2008. And luckily I was part of that push with the United Nations for us to have World Sickle Cell Day like other days. And I can say it on set, I think, that when things pertain to us in developing countries, it doesn't really come to the foreground. It's always pushed back. So we fought hard to get World Sickle Cell Day. But even today it's not celebrated in a concerted manner.
Because it only
the
affects
response is fragmented. And
Africans and Asians, right?
Well, it's extensive a bit more now.
In Africa, for instance, what we call the malaria belt.
Yeah.
Because the relationship between malaria and sickle cell.
Oh, what is it?
That relationship is this. You probably have heard that those who are AS, who are carriers, don't get malaria. Or the thing is really the truth is they don't have severe attacks of malaria. They may not succumb to malaria. So it was nature's way eons ago of throwing up this gene to sustain the species, because it found that if it was A and S together, they didn't die. The AAs died off, but the ASs lived. But perhaps nature did not think that S and S would combine and form and cause disease. So here we are dealing with it, but we have to deal with it. And the truth is we're getting better at it. There are better treatment protocols, newer medicines that are preventing crises. You know, I don't think I can say the name of the drug. Okay, maybe it's a trade name, but there are newer medicines that can prevent crisis, and many more patients are accessing these medications at our center. But there are complications that people don't know about. Long leg ulcers that fail to heal for years. But again, at our center, we're doing a lot for that. We're treating them with newer solutions so they heal. Because this is what causes a lot of stigmatization. I tell the story of Fumilayo, a girl that I know, 19 years old, who nearly killed herself. Her mother prayed, and at the end of the day, she was cured. After the ulcer was there for 3-4 years, she was out of school. And she was called Elebulese. That was her name. She found herself responding to that name. Nobody called her name in her community. They called her Elebulese, and she would respond. But at the point, she felt it was time to die. On Monday, we have an artwork workshop for students. We find one of the things we do at our center is get students, children, because children sometimes don't have the words to express what they're going through. So in genetic counseling, when they bring their artwork to the counselor, they can piece things together and say, this is what this child is going through. Like a child who drew her family in one part and herself very far away, darkened, and she felt her family was pushing her out, and they didn't like her. So they were able to counsel all of the family together. So that art workshop takes place. And on Monday, that art workshop is happening for schools in Lagos State as part of activities to mark World Sickle Cell Day.
Okay.
There's
quickly,
also
what else is happening on Sickle Cell Day?
Before I get there, I want to talk about hip degeneration. Many of them have to replace if they don't replace their hip joints, they can't walk. They're confined to wheelchairs. and people don't think about it. But it's one of the things we do again at our center is have we're getting European doctors to come in and do free hip replacement surgeries for. We have about 260 on our waiting list, and it costs about 3.3 million naira to have it done. So we're looking at the indigent patients to take care of them. These doctors are coming in from Germany, and I hope that we'll be able to start surgery from next month onwards.
Okay,
but what sickle cell day, besides
just before you do that, we'll need to take a quick break. When we'll come back, you tell us activities for World Sickle Cell Day. Don't go away.